Not. So I'm going to go ahead and talk to you about what your assignment's going to be after we get through. We're gonna take our chapter 17-1 quiz today. The notes that were up on the board through the other couple days when you're taking your test over 16. I'll go over a brief review over 17 before you go in and take your quiz. But for right now, you need to pay attention to what your assignment is going to be once you're finished. And then when we come in here tomorrow, so this Zoom recording will take care of today and tomorrow for your assignment in there. Then whenever we get into the end of tomorrow, you'll finish off your notes that are on the board for chapter 17, section 2 on your own there. And then Friday, we'll have chapter 17, section 2 quiz at the beginning, and then history of mankind. So today will be 17-1 quiz, Valentine's Day card. Tomorrow will be Valentine's Day card. Finish up chapter 17, section 2. Friday will be quiz and history of mankind. All right, so those will kind of be your 5 points that's there. All right, so what I want you to do is go to Canvas, and you can follow along on the board. That's fine, or you can open it up yourself right here. But at the bottom of chapter 17 module, there is an assignment called Valentine's Day card. Whenever you click on it, it'll bring up this PowerPoint that's got the example of what this is. We've done this in the years past. And what you're going to do is you are going to create a historical Valentine, okay? It has to be from a person, a group, or some event type deal that has happened from chapters 1 all the way to chapter 17. So there should be a broad spectrum of people, places, things, events that you can choose from. And I'm going to kind of show you how you tailor this to complete the assignment. All right, so it says select a group or historical figure from any period we have studied through chapter 17. You're going to create an original, handmade or digital. If you create a digital one, you have to print it out. It better be really good because all you're doing is pretty much copy and paste and stuff. So it needs to be a really good one, thought out. I would rather you create something that is handmade. You can turn around and give it to your mama. She'll might bring a tear to her eye like you were in elementary and brought her home a handmade Valentine's card there. All right. It says it has to be related to a specific concept or theme. It must demonstrate understanding of that person. So whatever the content is of it, it has to demonstrate that you understand what they are trying to portray and what they did important to history. I'll give you some examples here in a second. Their concept, their theme, for you to be able to get credit. The biggest thing, the reason why it's in larger print down there, it says it must be school appropriate, okay? So when you Google search, which I know you will, to try to find something else that somebody else has already made, try to be creative and be on your own. Come up with something that's kind of somewhat funny. You're going to find a lot of them that are not appropriate whenever you Google it. Do not click on those on your school iPad and everything else. But a lot of those kind of go into the idea, whether they say something that shouldn't be said, whether it's kind of a sexual innuendo that doesn't need to be posted on there, especially school wise. Like I said, use your brain, and if you think it's somewhat wrong, then make sure you don't go that direction, because that'll get you a trip down to the old AP's office and 3 days ISS more than likely. So don't do that. You also get a 0 on your grade for this one. So make sure it's school appropriate. All right. So some examples of this right here. All right. The first one says my dynasty only lasted 2 centuries. So it gives a specific example of a history account that it only lasted 2 centuries. It says, but my love for you will last forever. All right. Shah Ismail. Got a picture of his crown, double layered, all that good stuff. Our love is like a Christian missionary in Japan. It's banned and unwanted. The other one says, I'll open my heart to you like I opened the Pacific to the colonizers. All right, Captain James Cook. So it has something that ties directly in to what he did for history, what he did for the overall part of tying it into Valentine's Day. So if you go to HEB or you go to Walmart or you go to Walgreens or somewhere, are all of the Valentine's Day cards the same of what they say inside? No, they're tailored to something specific. That one person that picks it up and they're going to spend $6.95 on the card. Okay, it may have to do with love. It may have to do with friendship. It may have to do as a funny Valentine that's there. Okay, kind of same way when you were a kid. When you went and bought the little cards that you sign your name on. You put them in Valentine's Day boxes. Y'all still do that, or they let y'all do that at school anymore? No, because you have to make sure you get everybody one, so everybody's yeah. Okay, so as it goes through, when you were a kid and you saw those things, most of the time you picked kind of what was your favorite character, what was your favorite person, what was your favorite candy, things like that that you necessarily wanted to do. This is kind of gory, but it's historically accurate. It says, "My heart beats only for you, even when ripped out of my body and placed in the bowls for God." Love the Aztec. So it goes along with the historical accurate part of it. That's still school appropriate for the part of, it's historical accuracy. Sometimes history is violent as far as it goes through there. Sometimes history is gory. Sometimes history is true as far as that happens. But there's another example, and that kind of gives you an idea. So at the front of the room, got multiple pieces of construction paper. You're more than welcome to take whatever you want to. If you want to go for a nice layered effect, this one's got polka dots on it. You could put the old red, pink, and white hearts, red, pink, white, all that stuff. If you want to use black on the back of it so it kind of pops out more with whatever, you're more than welcome to take however many pieces of construction paper you need to use. Also on this other side are your scissors. You got your glue, you got your crayons, you got your markers, you got map colors, all that other good stuff. So make a good finished product that is school appropriate. Okay. Anybody have any questions about this one? Everybody good? Okay. All right. So I'm going to go to chapter 17, section 1, and just kind of go back in a little bit here with you and just make sure that we kind of know some of the key points that are in this. All right. It says, of course, we're going over the Renaissance in Italy. The birthplace of the original Renaissance is going to spread to the north all over Europe, have multiple Renaissances there. It says the Italian Renaissance was a rebirth of learning that produced many great works of arts and literature. All right. Why is it important? It ties into a ton of modern day art. It ties into a ton of modern day literature. It formed the ideas of what would transpire from Europe to the colonies, to the United States, to colonization of other parts of the world from South America to Africa and others. So it really influenced culturally, kind of going forward, how things would be. It says during the late Middle Ages, Europe suffered from both war and plague. Those who survived wanted to celebrate life and human spirit. They began to question institutions of the Middle Age, which had been unable to prevent war. It had been unable to prevent war and relieve suffering brought on by the plague. So we talked about this yesterday as the idea of the COVID-19, the time that we're going through right now. Okay, how would people respond to whenever we start coming out of COVID-19? All right. Let's say a bunch of these states are finally opening up again, like California, New York, New Mexico. Some of those are finally starting to kind of expand and loosen up some of the restrictions. Do people want to go back to work? Do people want to go back to school? Do people want to go back to normalcy? Kind of the same way you look at the idea of coming out of the Middle Ages during the Renaissance. Do people want to go back to aspiring to doing great things? Or is it going to be that how are their government going to prevent them from going to war? How are they going to prevent them from getting sick? Kind of the same instances that we're looking at now for our government to kind of help us get to the point of where we need to be at. Some people question the church. During the church at this time, it taught that the idea that you could endure suffering as a Christian because there was going to be a hope of a better life in the end. All right. So they started to question that, and they were like, well, why can't we have a good life while we're here on earth and still have the hope of being eternally saved whenever we're done? All right. So the idea of changing the church ideology was a big thing at this time. And we'll kind of get into that whenever Martin Luther starts questioning the idea of the church. In northern Italy, writers and artists began to express the new spirit and experiment with different styles. These men and women would greatly change how Europeans saw themselves in the world. We talked about the time, 1300 to 1600 was whenever the Renaissance took place. Historians call for the period, of course, as the Renaissance. The term means rebirth. It refers to the revival of art and learning. Many educated men relied on Greeks and Romans in the past to be able to have an idea about how they should go forward. Think about Plato, Aristotle, Socrates. The idea of thinkers, the idea of we should use a good template that was successful in the past. Even though the empire falls, you can still take all the positives from before it fell and be able to use that to recreate the model of what Europe is going to be there. Okay. So things you need to make sure you understand, like what was the conditions like? Well, we talked about it. It was war torn, it was disease torn, and they're trying to come out of it. All right. The idea of the values and ideas that were prized during the Renaissance. All right. Thinkers, artistic value, challenging of the church. All right. So building upon a progressive movement during the Renaissance time. The artistic breakthroughs and achievements, whether it be through writing, whether it be through song, whether it be through art, those artistic achievements that were made. And of course, the same thing with the literary works that were done during the Renaissance period. Okay. So what I need you to do now, and for the rest of the class on this one, aside from your Valentine's card, you're going to take chapter 17-1 quiz. On the board over here is chapter 17, section 2, and it has 4 questions. Okay. Those are like true or false questions that once you write down the questions, you find out if those statements are true or if those statements are false. Okay. At the bottom of it, that's a chart that you're going to end up putting together that we'll have to do with the causes of Northern Renaissance, spread of ideas, writers and reform, the Elizabethan age, and printing press. That's going to be a big one there with the idea of the printing press. Now, as you go along, we will not pick this back up until the end of tomorrow. So you don't have to do anything other than copy this today, and we'll pick it up tomorrow. Okay. So today, really no notes. Just copy that so you're ready for your notes tomorrow. Take your quiz on 17-1 and start your Valentine's Day assignment. Okay. Anybody have any questions? Everybody good? All right, I'm going to move this over here so that way people at home can see the quiz notes. There we go. For chapter 17-2, I guess it'll still be backwards. But right there, y'all won. And then any other virtual learners that are there at the time right now. All right, that's it for today.